So first course, chef, if you will.
Yeah, it's a great time of year for beets. Beets, have always been kind of an underutilized vegetable in my opinion, and I think they're not appealing to everyone because of a lot of the times the way that it's been prepared. So what I like to do is I take a whole beet and I pack it in what we call a salt dough, which is essentially just flour and salt and maybe some aromatics, and cook it in the oven. And what happens is it creates a seal around the beet, and so none of its flavor, right, is escaping, and it's actually like self-steaming itself. And what it does is it gives it this beet that's just amazing, pure texture, flavor, keeps a beautiful color. So I really wanted to just kind of show that off as something fun to do with a vegetable as simple as just a beet. And we got Fruition Farms partnered up with us, and so using some of their sheep's milk ricotta, I mean, that stuff is like gold, man. It is absolutely delicious. So, and beets and ricotta are a pretty common combination. They go well together. And then wanted to throw some fun things in there too that maybe people haven't seen. We got a little bit of Colorado honey with some fresh horseradish, just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a bite, of a spice to it. And then at home, in my garden at home, my wife grows a lot of flowers, and we have citrus lace marigolds, and marigolds are actually an edible flower. But what I really love is they have a small little leaf that almost looks like a fern, and it tastes like you're eating orange zest when you eat this leaf. And orange and beet is another really good sort of combination. And so I'm going to pick some of these leaves from my garden, and we're going to garnish the beet dish with that. Little poppy seed on top for a little bit of texture, for a little bit of color, a little bit of flavor. So, one of my most favorite dishes to do. I'm really looking forward to sharing that with everybody.
Second course, chef, if you would.
Yeah. This has been a great year for beans in Colorado. So, I'm really excited to highlight beans, and, you're going to the Pacheco Farms, and they've got some haricots verts, which I've heard this is just, and seen. I mean, it's just been a stellar year for the small French green bean, the haricots verts. So I wanted to do a salad with those. We've got some yellow wax beans in there, and then one of my most favorites is a dragon tongue bean. Purely, if anything, just for the name, right? You get to go in and eat at a restaurant and then come out of it saying, man, I ate dragon tongue something or other. But it's a really cool bean. It's like yellow and purple. So I was going to do a combination of those beans in a salad, and then with some daikon radish, some purple daikon radish, because that radish is going to give it a nice crunch. So the salad, the vegetables will be blanched and chilled, and then I'm going to dress them with a little dressing made from sesame, cherry vinegar, some shallot in there. And it sounds really simple, but it is a really delicious way to eat beans. And instead of putting them in a casserole and baking the crap out of them, right, or eating them out of a can or something like that, I think it'll really be eye-opening for people to see that, when you take these vegetables and just do simple stuff with them, how tasty and delicious they are. In addition to that, put a little bit of crispy shallots on top, and then I have also on there is a garlic chive seed, and which is kind of, familiar words, but the garlic chive is is a plant. And I always explain it to people that it's somewhere in between a chive and garlic which is why it's called a garlic chive, right? But, it's an allium, right? So in the same family as all the onions and things like that, and garlic as well. But it has a really unique flavor that has kind of like the best parts of garlic, but it's not too intense. Probably talking way too much about this, but so we grow them in my garden at home, and they went to seed, and I took those seeds and with their flour, which is amazingly delicious, I put it in oil. So I basically essentially made this garlic chive seed oil that I'll be finishing the beans with, and I think it's going to be something that's just going to blow people's minds. Yeah, so the third one is going to be coal roasted cabbage. So one of my favorite things to do is take cabbage whole and just throw it right on some hot coals, let it go for a bit. Same kind of concept, like you lose some outer leaves, but really the sweetness of the cabbage concentrates as it sort of cooks in its own juices with the protection of the outer leaves. So it comes out really sweet and having a really nutty flavor. So we're going to do some cold cabbage on the dish. We're going to do a little, almost like a dressing with a little bit of the diced apple, a little toasted caraway, and some olive oil. And then we're going to take the trout, and what I'd like to do is I'm going to just put a really light glaze of a little bit of miso on top of it and broil it. So, almost a little kind of Asian-y influence. And then on the bottom, I'll do a little bit of brown butter with a little bit of white miso together. So that should tie it all in. So, even though you're seeing cabbage and toasted caraway and things like that, but it's going to actually be on the sweeter, nuttier side. And I'm excited to see the trout come through with those accompaniments. Course 4, grilled lamb sirloin. So one of my favorite cuts of lamb is the sirloin. I think it's got, it definitely has a big depth of flavor. Lamb as a whole is a pretty, tender-wise, it's pretty much the same kind of across the animal, right? You get into the shanks and things like that, there's more tendons and stuff like that. But, as a whole, it's a tender animal. But I really like the sirloin because it is a little bit more firm and you get a little bit more depth of flavor. And for me, having that, most all Colorado lamb is mild in flavor. It's fairly mild, but I think it stands up to being grilled really well. So I'm excited about marinating these sirloins and then getting them on the grill, having it at a nice, beautiful, juicy, like medium rare. And then, I needed to, and I really wanted to find a way to incorporate green chili. I almost thought about doing a version of the slopper, right? If you guys know that dish.
Yes.
The Pueblo favorite.
We just interviewed them.
Oh, nice. This is maybe like a long play on that where, a nice piece of grilled lamb, and then I wanted to make a green chili using those Pueblo chilies, and a couple other different varieties, some tomatillos in there as well, a good amount of garlic, and really kind of just exploring this relationship of lamb and green chili together. And then the addition of the bok choy on there, I think it's going to be a lot of fun too, because it's almost going to bring those more nutty broccoli kind of notes to it. Yeah, and for me, I thought it would be a lot of fun in this last course to, highlight cornmeal, right? Who does that really for dessert? So I thought it would be fun to kind of take a different look at it, a different angle. We currently work with the bow and arrow blue cornmeal now over at Zolo. And I've kind of been tweaking some recipes for a while and have this really good cornbread that we serve. And I'm going to take that, I'm going to turn it in, I'm going to make it a little lighter, turn it into more like a cake. And then, I also know that Talbot Farms grows a lot of grapes out in Palisades. So I was really hoping you guys might be able to bring me back some grapes, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to just simply roast them. And then I have a little bit of grape syrup that I made from some grapes that are in my backyard. And I'm hoping to combine those two with the roasted grapes, a little grape syrup. You got the cornbread, and then I'm going to fill the cornbread with pumpkin diplomat cream. And a diplomat cream is rightfully so. It sounds kind of, upper echelon, but it's essentially pastry cream that has whipped cream folded into it. And so we're going to do that with a pie pumpkin flavor. I believe those pie pumpkins are also coming from Petreco. And I just thought, man, it's a super seasonal dish, and it's going to be a lot of fun for people to try these things a little bit differently. And, using grapes in Colorado is highly underutilized as well. We actually have, certainly on the Western Slope, places that grow a lot of really good grapes.
Perfect. That's
There you
great.
go. There you go.
Thank you, Chef, so much. All right, we'll see you soon, September 29th, falldinnerseries.com. Chef Kyle Mendenhall, we love you, man. We'll see you soon.
All right, yes. Take care.